Great to have you here. The details now. The minority in Parliament is demanding the dismissal of Senior Minister Inusah Fuseini. The senior minister, speaking to Ghanaians at a town hall meeting abroad, justified the decision by an Accra High Court to free Chinese illegal mining queen Aisha Huang and her subsequent deportation to China. He linked it to what he calls Ghana's good relationship with China and benefits from assistance that the country gives us.
A very good relationship with China. They're the main company that is helping develop the infrastructure system in Ghana. It's It's a Chinese company. It's the one that's going to help process our bauxite and provide about $2 billion to us. So when there are these kind of arrangements, there are other things behind the scenes. Putting that lady in jail in Ghana is not going to solve your economic problem. It's not going to make you happy or me happy. That's not important. The most important thing that has been imported out of Ghana. So we must say it's not wrong. I'm saying that there are many other things beyond what you see in these markets. And everybody is wide awake. The most important thing is that we have planned this, we have established regulations, and we are protecting our environment. And that is far more important than one Chinese woman who has been
Well, so that video has gone viral, and the office of the senior minister has posted a response in reaction to how Ghanaians have condemned, or some Ghanaians have condemned, the statement made by the senior minister. And so you have it there on Facebook. Says what he meant was that the matter of prosecution had been dealt by a court of competent jurisdiction, and that Ghanaians should focus on the economic gains of the government and how best we can consolidate those gains. The Akufo-Addo government is highly committed to the fight against galamsey to the extent of establishing an inter-ministerial committee to deal with the worrying situation. However, there are pertinent issues we should be looking at as a nation, such as creation of employment for a teeming youth, industrialization, infrastructural deficit, domestic revenue mobilization, emphasis on technical, not grammarian education, and how to sustain funding for government policies and programs. These were the issues senior minister was emphasizing instead of limiting the town hall meeting to the discussion of Aisha when the matter had been determined by courts. And it ends with the expression, "May God help us." Meanwhile, convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Ken Ashibe, has expressed disappointment at the justification of government's decision not to prosecute the Chinese national Aisha Huang, who engaged in illegal mining despite several warnings, describing the senior minister's comments as a fatal blow to the fight against galamsey. In an interview with JoyNews, Mr. Ashibe explains the posture of government on the Aisha Huang case has the tendency of opening up the country to more Chinese who are the worst culprits in the galamsey menace.
Aisha was not like one of those victims that you can, those small fishes that you find in the pits, who are eking a living for them. She, from all the information we had gotten, was one of the financiers, very influential people who were behind it. So you wanted to ensure that for once you had gotten somebody who, if you dealt with, could actually deal with the supply, of resources towards this illegal mining, to deal with some of the people who are actually benefiting from it. So for us to then hear that Nole Prosokwa was, for me, one of the lowest, ebbs in this whole fight against, illegal, the fight that the Stop Galamsey fight. And so to now hear the senior minister, somebody who has seen a lot of seasons, somebody who has a lot more experience than we are, give this justification that for $2 billion, we are prepared to sacrifice 2.29 billion cedis damage that has been done to us. We did not want to ensure that the detriment, effect of prosecution happens. We do not want to make sure that the sanctions, in terms of even fines that could have been fined for each of these people, that could have gone into ensuring that, we at least recovers part of the cost of fixing this, would have dealt with it. That we did not want that maybe in the course of of this, some of the people who were behind working with Aisha would have gotten them exposed, that we did not want to do all of this. And then we want to do a justification for the Sino-Hydro deal. Unfortunately for the senior minister, the Chinese ambassador has come to say that they are not interested in supporting people who are doing illegality, and they want to actually work with us to fix this problem. So I think that it is important that as a country, we need to realize that our today and our future is more important than the broth that we'll get today. We say messaging is so important, and definitely the message that comes out of what the senior minister has said is a fatal blow to this particular fight. It is very demotivation to everybody who is involved in it. And I think that there should be a correction of it from the Minister for Information all the way to the President. Something needs to be done about this particular thing. No, the Chinese won't leave Ghana on their own. They won't stop coming to Ghana. There's a resource here that they want to find. They would keep coming here. Would we get to a point where we will get leadership in this country saying that we are not going to allow this to happen? We need to think.
Ken Ashibeda, he's convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. He referred to the Chinese ambassador in his comments. Then we will bring you the Chinese ambassador speaking on Aisha Huang's deportation later. But the minority says the president must be impeached if he doesn't fire the senior minister. The minority spokesperson on constitutional, legal and parliamentary affairs, Inusah Fuseini, spoke to Raymond Akwa on Upfront Thursday.
Could not be from the Chinese government. There are people more important to the Chinese government than Aisha Huang. And so this definitely could not be with the Chinese government. Now, but Osafo Mafu haven't said that. Like I said earlier, it's quite revealing. Osafo Mafu is still a very important person in this country. Indeed, I'm not sure the former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources could make the statement that Osafo Mafu has made. No. He definitely would have been called to order.
I see.
Yes. That shows the power of Osafo Mafu in this government. You can't say that you have traded off the enforcement of the laws of this country for a 2 billion facility. You can't say that. That's the height of impunity. And so it's only a powerful minister in a government like Nanado Adonka Akufo-Addo who can say that
we flagrantly abuse the
laws of this country for a 2 billion facility. You can't say that. You can't say that. I mean, even for a government or president to say that I've violated the laws of the country because of pecuniary gain.
Laws you sworn the oath to protect.
It's an indictment on the president. In fact, that could trigger the impeachment process.
Which we know will not go anywhere, actually.
But that could trigger impeachment, even in a country where you don't deport a foreign national. But just to say that for reasons of economic gain, we had to flout the laws of the country. No, it's only a person like Osafo Mafu who can say that. In fact, in a democratic, civilized nation, no employee of state, and Osafo Mafu is an employee of state.
That's true.
Can say that we had to abandon the enforcement of our laws because of pecuniary gain. It's the height of impunity.
Even if it's the truth.
Even if that's the truth. It's just. I mean, I can't even describe what that does. I mean, it simply is unacceptable.
Do our laws take care of a situation like this? But there's a pronouncement from a senior minister that said that we set aside our laws.
The laws will take care of that, but the laws will take care of that through the minister. Osafo Mafu still remains an employee of the president.
Okay.
And it is the president who can fire him.
You think he ought to be fired?
He ought to be fired. In fact, for exposing us to that level of ridicule, he ought to be fired. To have justified the non-enforcement of the laws of your country on the basis of a supposed economic agreement you have entered into with a foreign country, I mean, flies in the face of good reason. And so he ought to be called to order. And the president ought to make a pronouncement. I don't think the president will say that he subscribes to that. But if the president says he subscribes to that, he's exposing himself to impeachment.
But he's not said anything like that.
He can't say
all that we have is a senior minister.
So if the president doesn't, if he has no support from the president must demonstrate.
By doing exactly what?
By sanctioning Osafo Maafo.
Sacking him?
Sacking him from the office.
Well, the Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Huang, says his administration will stand solidly behind the government of Ghana to repatriate any Chinese found to have engaged in illegal mining, popularly called galamsey. Mr. Huang says the Chinese embassy and his government are sometimes taken aback by how some Chinese arrested for illegal mining were released back into the country without any communication with the embassy for repatriation. He was speaking at a lecture organized by the Confucius Institute at the University of Cape Coast.
By the outside countries.
Huang says his administration is concerned about the galamsey menace in the country. But first, Ghanaians must stop aiding foreigners in the galamsey business if effort at fighting the menace is to be successful.
Chinese people don't control your money. We are not the owners. Chinese people don't know where there is gold. If you don't issue visas to Chinese people cannot enter into your country. They don't know where is the money. They cannot able to enter your country. How could we be able to do galamsey in your country? Why? The question should be answered. Why? That is the support of the local people. It's very clear. Without your collaboration, without your support, how could we Chinese people be able to do galamsey in your own country? Why don't we go to, South Africa? South Africa is very famous for gold. Ghana, you are famous for gold, but you are #1 country. South Africa is #1 in the world. And then now Russia is also #1. South Africa is the second, I believe. Why don't we go to South Africa and Russia to do galamsey? It's not possible because local people don't support us. But in Ghana, some people, I can honestly say some people, the local people, collaborating with a small number of the local Chinese people doing galamsey. If you want to stop the galamsey in your own country, you have to punish your own people first. Otherwise, you cannot solve this problem because we don't know where is the gold. You lead us. You show us. You make joint work with us. So.
He further called for the tightening of the nation's border security to help reduce Chinese nationals coming to the country illegally.
But our position is very, very clear. Chinese government, we will not tolerate any Chinese citizen doing illegal things in the other countries. Galamsey is illegal. Anytime when your police people arrest Chinese people doing galamsey, if you inform to our embassy, we will repatriate them back to China immediately. No tolerance, no tolerance. But the reality is that you arrest some Chinese, you don't inform us. You don't inform us. If you inform us, then we will send them back to China. You don't inform us. On the contrary, you arrest them and a few days later you release them. How? I don't have a police people. I cannot arrest these Chinese. So it's very difficult to solve this problem. We count on Ghanaian people. We count on you. We can stop Chinese people come to Ghana, but we cannot stop Chinese people come to your neighboring countries. If they come to your neighboring countries, If they cross the border, we cannot control. But your border is controlled by your people.
Huang indicated the China-Ghana relationship has survived several decades, and he will continue to strengthen the bond and create opportunities for prosperity for both countries. Richard Kwejenyakon, Joy News, Cape Coast.